Let's talk about robotic affirming. Robotic affirming is a method. It's a technique. It is not the point of manifestation. The point of manifestation is to assume what you want is already true. That's why it's called law of assumption. If robotic affirming was the point, it would be called law of robotic affirming. So let's get it straight. Robotic affirming is a method. It's a technique. You are repeating the fact that you have what you want to yourself over and over and over and over and over and over again, like a robot, hence the name robotic affirming. You're not worrying about believing. You're not worrying about any feeling. You're not worrying about any emotion. You are not worrying about any of that. This is just plain robotic affirming. I am so rich. I am so rich. I am so wealthy. I love being so wealthy. I am so successful. I am so successful. I am so successful. Over and over and over again like a robot. Yes, it does work. It is something that works. It worked for me. It worked for a lot of people. There are so many success stories on the internet full of people saying robotic affirming worked for me. I tried so many methods, but robotic affirming was the only one that actually worked for me. And I believe there is a reason for that. But I also believe to each their own when it comes to the methods, because I do know some people loathe robotic affirming, but it still doesn't give you a reason to come at people who do like it. So if you're on that whole train, you need to sit down. That's loser behavior. Robotic affirming is a method that does help people, and there is no arguing with that. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that the whole entire point of law of assumption, manifesting, is to assume what you want is already the truth right now. It's to think as if what you want is already true right now in this very moment. Some people cannot just assume once and move on, while some people just don't feel comfortable with assuming and then sticking to it when it comes to mind. And some people just don't prefer it. Some people do need extra help, like I said in my methods video, with grasping the new story. They need extra help nailing that new story inside their minds so they can get used to the fact that this new story is now their truth and the old story is no longer true for them anymore. It's no longer the case for them. Saying something over and over and over and over again does help. Repetition does help. It does help whether you want to admit it or not. Whether I know some people have beef with repetition for whatever reason. I don't think you can ever get out of repetition, whether it be conscious repetition or just repeating without actually knowing you're repeating a story mindlessly because it's on autopilot. So you're sticking to this identity, you're sticking to this story, which is a form of repetition. That's how the brain works. If you want to speak in scientific terms, that is how the brain works. And I mean, if you don't like it, go argue with science. I think robotic affirming is backed up by science, and it does fall under a method that helps people that need a more scientific approach to manifestation, and that is okay. Thinking something in your mind over and over and over and over and over again gets you used to it. If you are experiencing being broke for your entire life and you've never touched money in your entire life, you don't know how that feels. You don't know how it is to experience having lots of money. That is okay. And let's say you want to manifest being rich and wealthy for once in your life. And there is nothing wrong with that. You can totally do that. How someone would really get over that hump of being broke their entire lives is by repeating the fact that they are rich, they are wealthy. I'm so wealthy, I'm so healthy, I'm so wealthy. I love being so wealthy. I love being so rich. I love being rich. I love being rich. And by repeating that over and over and over and over again, it gets their mind used to the fact that they are now wealthy and they are now rich. It gets their mind used to the fact that, oh, hey, we're not broke anymore. We don't have to experience this life of being broke, of having no money anymore, because now we actually have money. So yeah, it does get, even for people who are not manifesting this, who have been broke all their lives, and let's say they just won the lottery, or let's just say that they suddenly got a huge amount of money from somewhere, from anywhere, maybe from a family member, maybe a huge raise at their job that they just didn't expect. Maybe they got money out of the blue somewhere that they didn't expect. Although they have that money now, it's still going to really take some time for them to get used to the fact that, oh my God, I'm rich now. I have it now. I'm rich. I'm actually wealthy. I can afford this now. And that doesn't mean that they're not rich and that they can't afford it. It just means that it just means that they've experienced the opposite their entire lives, and now they're getting used to the fact that, oh hey, it's not like this anymore. It's like this now. You're helping your brain get familiar with the new story by using repetition with robotic affirming, and there is nothing wrong with that. And of course, I know people can argue, well, if you truly understand that you are creator of your reality and that you call the shots and that you are the authority, then you don't need to repeat consciously, because you should already understand that you already have it. And while yes, that may be the case for some people, and if that's the case for you, congratulations. But for a lot of people, that is not the case, because they don't really, even though they can grasp that concept, people are not used to that. People are not used to being told, oh hey, you're the creator of your reality. They're not used to that. I think it's very, very ludicrous for people to expect people to just grasp onto that concept. We are not raised on the concept that we create our own realities. We are not raised on that. We are not taught that growing up. We are not even taught that as adults. Some people find the law of assumption at 60 years old, and you really expect them to just boom, grasp it like that, and no. They've gone through years of conditioning of, oh, you're not in control of your reality. You don't control this. The universe does. God does. This does. That does. So telling them, hey, you're creator, so act like it, Sure, it helps to understand, but it also helps to test it out, and it also helps for them to see for themselves. Once they test it out, then they are able to understand better that they are truly the creators of their reality, because they just proved it to themselves. And because they proved it to themselves, now it's easier for them to grasp and understand and manifest more things into their lives. In conclusion, proving it to yourself can be done with the help of the technique and method robotic affirming. Telling yourself that something is true over and over and over and over and over again helps, because you are not leaving any room for yourself to think against it, to think as if it's not true. So in conclusion, your brain, robotic affirming helps your brain get familiar with the new story, especially if it's very far off from what you are currently experiencing. If you've ever heard the saying, I'm sure you have, if you repeat something so much, you're going to start thinking as if it's true. Or they didn't force themselves to believe, they didn't force themselves to feel any emotion, they didn't force themselves to feel anything, to know anything. They just told themselves it's already true over and over and over again to help their brains grasp the fact that it's already true. Now, I want to go over some common mistakes that people make when they robotic affirm. For one, I think people have a huge misunderstanding that robotic affirming is mandatory. And although people have said that it's not, some people still have the idea that you have to robotically affirm in order to get what you want. And that is just not true. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, first of all. So why are you doing it if you don't want to do it? But you don't have to robotically affirm in order to manifest what you want, because like I said earlier, it is not called law of methods, it is called law of assumption. So whatever you assume to be true is what's going to be true. So if you assume that you have to robotically affirm, then that's what you're going to have to do. But I don't know why you would want to assume that, and you wouldn't really assume that if it was made clear that robotic affirming is just a method. It is not mandatory, it is not law of robotic affirming, it is just law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true is going to be true. This is why people can manifest what they want without doing any method, any technique. There are some people who have never robotically affirmed in their lives and they still got what they wanted. And this is because it's called law of assumption. All they did was ultimately assume whatever they want to experience, they are now experiencing. And people can do that. I can do that. Some people can do that. And there is no problem with that. That just goes to prove that it's called law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true is what's going to be true. There was no robotic affirming done. It's just, I have it, and boom, you have it. Now, some other mistakes people make is they robotically affirm for a few times and then they go back to thinking the old story. So they will set their timer and robotically affirm for like 2 hours. Let's say they're affirming money. So they're going to be like, I'm so rich. I love being rich. I love being rich. I love being rich. I love being rich for that 2-hour time frame. And then right after that 2 hours is up, they go right back to thinking, oh my God, I can't afford this anymore. Oh, I can't afford this. Oh, I'm so broke. Oh, I'll never be able to get my house. I can't get this. My bank account is negative, whatever balance. I don't have the money. I don't have the funds. Oh, I can't afford it. They go back to thinking the unwanted story. And my advice to you is, if you're going to do that, don't even do it in the first place. Don't even manifest it in the first place, because you have to understand that you are telling yourself these affirmations because these affirmations are a fact. They are facts for you. They are not something you're saying just to be saying. No, they are literal facts for you. You are to be viewing them as a fact. You are to be viewing them as if they are true. You're not just saying affirmations just to be saying them. You are saying this because they're your new story now. They are what's going on for you now. This is how your life is now. It is no different than telling someone, oh yeah, I'm rich now. Oh yeah, I got this. Oh yeah, I can afford this now. Or talking to yourself like, oh my God, I got it now. Oh my God, I'm so happy I can afford this now. I might as well plan for this. I can invest in this. I can do this. I can finally buy my house. You are just speaking as if it's already true, or really not even speaking. It's just you are thinking as if it's already true. That is what affirmations are. They are the truth, your new truth. And I find that many people tend to fault robotic affirming because I think one thing this community does not know how to do is take accountability for their own actions. And I think that, some of you, I don't know if you're watching this or not, but if you're one of those people, you need to grow up and you need to learn how to take accountability for your own actions, because robotic affirming is not the enemy. Robotic affirming works for people. If it was the enemy, then it wouldn't work for people, but it works for people. Robotic affirming, you don't really have any right to shit on it because it didn't work for you. It's just not your method. You don't really have any right to say, oh, this doesn't work. Oh, this method is BS. Because if that was the case, it would not have helped a lot of people. And it has helped a lot of people. And there is nothing wrong with that. At least big creators who have taught people how to do robotic affirming, they have mentioned as clear as day that you can robotic affirm all day if you want to, but the next day, if you go back to thinking as if you don't have it, you're doing it wrong. Like, that's not how you're supposed to be doing it. You can robotically affirm. You can set a timer for however long you want to go, and you can robotically affirm for 5 hours. But when you come out of that 5 hours thinking as if you don't have it still, then what do you think you're going to experience? You can't go back. You can't go back and forth. And people have been so clear about that. It just went over your heads. And if you didn't understand that, That's fine. Just admit that you didn't understand that or you didn't catch that. But don't shit on robotic affirming or people who like to do robotic affirming, because it's not their fault. It's not our fault. It's not the method's fault. Take accountability. It is your fault. It is your fault. You did not grasp it. You did not understand the concept. Robotic affirming doesn't work for me because I affirmed for 3 hours, but because I affirmed for 5 hours, I affirmed for 12 hours, but I still didn't get what I want. Yeah, you know why? Because you affirmed for 3 hours, you affirmed for 5 hours, 12 hours, whatever. And then after that affirming session was up, you went right back to thinking against your new story. You can't do that. You cannot blame anyone for liking a method that didn't work for you. You cannot blame a method for not getting you what you want, because really it all comes back to you too. I also think a common mistake is when people overcomplicate robotic affirming by trying to feel something, trying to know something, trying to believe something. Like, guys, come on. It's called robotic affirming for a reason. Tell yourself what you want is already true over and over and over and over again without worrying about any feeling, emotion, or belief. That's why it's called robotic affirming. Telling yourself something is true over and over again without contradicting it. And if you do contradict it, you just bring yourself back and you correct yourself. Although with robotic affirming, people don't really contradict it because they're so busy saying that what they want is true over and over and over and over and over again that they don't have time to contradict it. But the important part about not contradicting it is outside of that robotic affirming session, do not think against having what you want. That is also contradicting it. Do not contradict it outside of your sessions. Think as if what you want is already true. That is the point. The point is you're getting yourself to the mindset of what you want is now true. What you want is now the case. Your life is like this now. So you are to tell yourself that over and over and over again, helping your mind grasp it. And yes, robotic affirming can help you manifest fast, because when you are telling yourself something is true over and over and over again, when you are repeating that to yourself so much, it can help you get into that mindset, into that state of being the person who has it already right now, really, really fast. It helped me a lot in the beginning, and robotic affirming actually is the reason why I don't have to robotic affirm anymore, because I robotically affirmed when I was manifesting things to test out manifestation. I robotically affirmed to get those things. I robotically affirmed to remind myself, hey, I have it right now. And because I did that, I am now able to not robotically affirm anymore. I hope you understand this better. Bye.